You are listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank, your partner in possible.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of No Other Pod. I'm Jimmy, as always, with my good buddy Dan. Dan, what is happening, my friend?
You know, what's happening is that we don't always hear our intro music going, but you gotta
So
play
you're
it for the
dancing?
people. You gotta dance because it's still going. People
Yeah.
know that rad key's going strong, man. So
There you go.
life is good, buddy. Life is busy, but
Yeah.
things are going all right. What's new with you?
Oh, I'm just chilling. Hoping
Okay.
the Chiefs survive another week.
Survive another week, one-legged Mahomes, and buddy, I bought my first pair of tap shoes today.
Did you really?
And
Okay. Is this
yeah,
for the show?
it is. I'm
Okay.
kind of a tap virgin. Never have been asked to do that. So,
Okay.
but I'm coachable.
There you go.
I'll learn. So we'll
There
see
you
what
go.
happens.
You mess around in them a little bit already?
Yeah, just warm them a little bit, and I'm gonna shamelessly plug that show on our show all the time. So
That's
if anyone
fine.
wants to come see Topeka Civic Theater Something Rotten, then get on it, man.
Yeah.
Tickets aren't for sale, so I don't know why I said that. So they're not
Well,
on sale
when they
yet.
go on sale, you'll obviously let us know.
Oh, for sure.
It's a good thing you live in a house and not an apartment, because tapping in an apartment, people below you would absolutely hate you.
That would be bad. I got a buddy who I had a friend who has a pretty decent basement for tapping. So
Yeah.
might
Okay.
go over there. Her boyfriend plays the guy that I have a tap battle with in the show.
Okay.
So
A tap battle,
could be fun. Yeah, man.
as one does.
Me and Shakespeare tap battle.
Do the dogs hate it? Have you done it around the dogs?
No, I literally picked them up today. Basically, they saw me putting shoes on and they were like, "Where are you going? Where are you going? You taking us
Right.
with you?" I'm like, "Going nowhere."
Yeah.
Literally just trying to get the feel of these bad boys. All right.
Well, cool. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about it as we get closer to your show. Maybe get a
Yeah,
no other
dude.
pod night out at Something Rotten.
There you go. We'll just get that party bus coming from the KC area,
There you go. There you go. That'll be fun.
Dude, we probably got maybe some new listeners this week.
Yeah.
Coming hot off our Peter for Me's interview, which
I'm still
was just
buzzing, man.
getting all the buzz. Our best friend Nate Bucati is sharing stuff.
Oh, I love it.
He's DMing us. Nate Bucati's just sliding in. He's like, "Hey, sexy fellas," and we're like, "Nate, what's up, dog?" And
Yeah,
he's
that's
like,
exactly
"Really love what you're
what
doing."
the quote was.
That's what it was. I was like, "Hey, good looking," and he was like, "Really love the interview." And I mean, that's better. I mean, I wanted to say, "Well, did you leave a 5-star review, Nate?"
And if you haven't, get on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leave that 5-star rating and review.
Oh, man.
But no, man, it was. I went back and listened again. I always go back and listen to, especially all the interviews that we do. Sometimes, it's tough listening to yourself talk for an hour every week after you've already talked for that hour. But had to go back and listen there because it almost. I don't know if it was like this for you. And at some points, it felt surreal because I'm like trying to make sure that I'm paying attention and we prepare for the next question. That like you almost forget what he's saying in the moment sometimes. And there were some good nuggets in there, man. I thought we did a good job. Not to pat ourselves on the back too much.
I think my favorite part from it though is when he goes, "Well, as you probably know, the sideline, or maybe you don't know." And he starts talking about the turf meeting the grass, and I'm thinking like, of course I don't know. I have no idea what
you see the different
grounds
colors
crew.
sometimes, but you don't necessarily know. Yeah.
I don't know what the makeup is. I'm not in on the grounds crew, so I appreciated the feedback, the nugget.
Yeah. It was pretty funny. The way he answered your question, the way you asked the question, very well done. So if you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to our interview with Peter Vermees from last week.
Go listen, because the way he answered my question was like, it's quite simple, really. I was like, oh, okay, fair enough.
Scientific, matter of fact.
I was like, oh no, he's gonna rip me for this.
But yeah, go listen to that. And we don't have an interview this week, but we got some good stuff to talk about. We had our first Sporting Kansas City preseason soccer game to talk about. Now there wasn't a whole lot to talk about in the game, but a game happened, so that's something.
2 mini games happened. How about that?
Well, it depends who you talk to, because Sporting says it was 2 scrimmages, and Portland said no, these are 2 halves, first half, second half. So.
Oh, Portland saw it as a big-time victory, huh?
Yeah. They won their first game. So.
That's all right. We all know Portland is garbage. Not the city. I'm sure it's a great place, but the team, garbage.
Organization, team president,
I see what you just did there. Portland organization.
Didn't even mean to do that, but I'm taking credit for it.
York alert.
No, we'll talk about that and obviously some roster moves, some roster rumors. We got information about Leagues Cup and all that stuff. You went to another Comets game, I believe, right?
Bought this hoodie, bro. This is a great hoodie.
How's that Comets game?
A 10-4 bloodbath.
There you go.
It was great. In positive favor of us, by the way. My favorite thing, get ready for this. They go, for the next minute between sections 104 and 105, whoever's the loudest in the minute is winning free Culvers. And I was like, oh, shit. Guess what, Jimmy? It was our section we were sitting in last time. You, me, Chris, and Marissa. And I was like, damn it. They didn't do that when we were there. My vegan ass isn't going to eat Culvers.
I was going to say, what are you getting at Culvers?
I like free stuff. I don't care what it is. I'm just a winner, dude. And this is bad. They get loud for 9 seconds, and boom, one of our players gets a head injury and is down for like minutes. And no one really understands what's going on. So these two sections are still going wild, and I'm sitting here like, no,
can't do this.
Hold on. And so everyone kind of settles down. Dude, they take this guy to the hospital. Pretty bad concussion.
Oh my goodness.
Pretty rough deal. But then he goes, all right, we're going to do the Culvers giveaway in the, 9th minute or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, because we're all worried about that right now.
Right. It's not the most important thing, right? I mean, that's the risk that you do deal with when you do these things mid-game, I guess.
Oh, yeah. The announcer's probably like, oh, fuck.
Everybody quiet down, please.
Everybody shush. I'll give you all Culvers if you just shush.
We should have waited 10 seconds.
But it's a great time, dude. The music. You're just sitting there the whole time.
You're just vibing.
I'm getting ideas to put like on my game day playlist on Spotify. I'm like, I'm Shazamming things, Yeah. It's insane.
Where'd you sit in the stadium this time?
We were like the first section that starts to curve around. So
it's kind of on
behind the netting, we had safety netting.
Yeah.
But it was okay. We were kind of in a nook area. Marissa was in the seat where it started to curve. So her arm space was like queen of the castle, dude. She had a throne.
Oh, that's awesome.
Amazing. There were kids sitting in her seat, and she goes, we'll just sit here. And I go, take that seat. We paid for it. Take your goddamn armrest. We pay for that shit.
Right. That's how I do too. If I have a reserved seat and someone's in it, I'm like, excuse me, tickets. Yeah. We live in a society.
Yeah,
let's go.
Absolutely. I clearly saw it. I saw that it was also a great seat. I'm like, sit the goddamn seat. Right. These children can get the buckaroo out of here, man.
It's my least favorite. Like you go to an AMC theater and you're like, oh, I'm sorry. I think you're in my seats. And like, oh, do you just want to sit there? And we're like, no, because this is a chain reaction. Because if you sit in my seat and I sit in someone else's seat, then it's just anarchy.
Then someone's coming and I'm in their seat. I'm like, oh, sorry. These jokers were in my seat. Right. Sorry.
And I don't know about you. I have specific seats I like to choose in movie theaters.
Same.
So I'm like, no, I got my ass online right when I got the email that said Ant-Man Quantumania tickets were available, and I chose my 2 seats at the time that I wanted them.
Buddy, I just got my Ant-Man tickets for 4D.
Okay. I'm not that far.
It's gonna be wild.
Okay. You tell me.
You ever been to a 4D movie? You ever done one?
I don't think I have.
It's different, dude. Yeah. We're talking smoke. We're talking a guy was falling down a hill. And something was punching me in my ass to symbolize, huh?
I don't want that.
Well, yeah, because I worked my glutes that morning, and it's like punching my butt. And I whispered to my wife, I'm like, did it just punch us in the butt?
Yeah, I just want to enjoy the movie. I don't need things punching me.
Some guy got stabbed in the back. I got stabbed in the back.
And a knife came out and hit me.
Dude, it was crazy. We're talking lights, rumbling. I imagine Fast and the Furious in 4D movie is freaking nuts.
Oh,
driving and shit.
Wild.
Absolutely. Wild. Worth the money, though. It's a fun little adventure.
Well, glad you had a good time at the Comets game. So
yeah.
If you haven't gone and checked out a Comets game, go check it out. They're a fun time.
I'm going back, man. Absolutely.
Super cheap tickets. Go get them on SeatGeek or somewhere, and it's easy.
Free parking. The Comets shared me on Instagram.
Oh, nice.
And so then I got followed by one of the players.
There you go.
That was kind of cool.
No big deal.
We're probably good friends now. I don't know.
Were there any near fights between the coaching staff and the opposing team's players this time?
Nah, unfortunately, no fights. I do enjoy those. There was one goal, buddy, that the ball like rolled off the glass. It went like a pinball machine.
Yeah.
It rolled and went into the net.
That's pretty wild.
Like just shot off there. Like
crazy stuff happens
dude.
at indoor. It's wild.
I love how they can
checking
just
out.
play the wall and play the angles. Like you see him like playing that angle that it's going to bounce off the wall.
Yeah.
It's
a mixture of soccer and hockey,
yeah.
and it's wild. It's fun.
It's
Go
such a
check it
fun
out.
way to get your soccer fix while we wait for MLS. You know what I mean? And that's why they play in this time of year. You know,
Exactly.
I love it.
So, let's shift to some Sporting KC news. Obviously, there was a preseason game. We'll talk about that, but I think even before the preseason game, Friday morning, we got this news, a roster move that I'm not sure was necessarily the most surprising roster move, and I think this makes sense. But Sporting Kansas City announced that the club waived midfielder Uri Rosell. He made 20 appearances for Sporting in all competitions last season. Obviously, he was with Kansas City from 2012 to 2014 and was a big part of that 2013 MLS Cup team. He's only 30 years old, even though it feels like he might be a little older because he was here so long ago. So that leaves Sporting Kansas City with 10 midfielders on the senior roster right now. Ozzy Cisneros, Jake Davis, Cam Duke, Roger Espinoza, the newcomer Danny Flores, Felipe Hernandez, Gadi Kinda, newcomer Nemanja Radoja, Eric Tommy, and Remy Voltaire. So what's your initial thoughts when you saw that we got rid of Uri Rosell? I mean, I think it was clear that despite all efforts last year, he didn't take hold of that number 6 position. So what were your thoughts when you first heard that he was no longer with the club?
My first thoughts are I dig way too deep into it, and I'm like, man, waiving a player is essentially like laying someone off at work.
In
You
some ways.
don't really have any notice. You're not getting put on an action plan to like correct your work so you don't get fired. It's just like you just get fired. And I don't know if it's anything that he did. Maybe they just realized he doesn't fit into the team as well as they thought, because that started to happen last year a little bit. He started to play a little bit, and then he started to get beat a little bit. He started to not perform so well. So it's still a shock. It's still a shock to see anyone get waived. But I don't know if that means we might be bringing someone else in, clearing up a little cap space, especially with getting some GAM, where we just traded an international roster spot to Columbus to get some GAM in there. Very important GAM. Sweet GAM.
$190,000 in general allocation money coming from Columbus as we sent an international roster slot, which I assume means some of our international guys got their green card in the offseason. But
do you know GAMs are another word for legs, right? Sexy legs. So
literally
GAM is
have never heard that in my life.
Well, it's a 1930s thing, but GAMs, sexy GAMs, dude. GAMs is a word that we should respect a little bit. It's important.
GAM sounds like another name for a grandma to me. So when you're like the sexy GAMs from the 1930s, I'm just like, what are we talking about?
GAM, a GAM. No, man, they're like, oh, look at the GAMs on her or something. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, you don't know that? That's like
never.
something those like detective novels they would talk like
film noir.
Film noir stuff, yeah.
Like Dick Tracy's going to talk to me.
Dick Tracy
steps forward. Okay.
Absolutely. I had to play a detective where I spoke to the audience a lot, and I had to say GAMs, you know,
Did you
and I
wear
had
a
to
fedora?
say I did have a fedora. I had to every
And a
night I had
trench
to trench coat. Every night I had to toss that fedora blindly at a hat rack.
Okay.
And everyone kept track of how many times I made it. Let's just say I didn't make it a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's tough. Well, I did not know that. So this has been your vocab word of the day with Dan Kooser.
GAMs, bro. Look it up.
But we did get that general allocation money. So that can be used to buy down another player, or it can be used to help try to find a replacement. I mean, there's 27 players under MLS contracts for the 2023 season right now. So getting pretty close to full.
What's full? 28?
I think it's 28 up to 30. I don't remember the exact. It's at least 28, I think. Yeah. I mean, there's 1 through 20 is like your main roster spots, and then there's like the supplemental roster spots, but they can still be called into the game day roster. So it's a whole thing. But what's interesting to me about this is I don't think Uri was brought in to be the starter last year, and I think I'm curious. This is nothing but a hypothetical exercise. I'm curious what would happen if Jose Mari never got cut, because I don't think it would have forced Uri into playing nearly as much as he did. Because I think Jose Mari came in 2021, in the middle of 2021, with the idea that he would take over as the number 6.
Yeah.
And then obviously we know that didn't go. according to plan, he played like 30 minutes in 2022 and that had to be the final straw. He came in on it as a sub in the first half, was subbed off as a sub, and then never saw the light of day in a Sporting jersey ever again. So I think that forced Uri into more action last year. And because he got so much more action, I think it just maybe exposed the weaknesses that he had more. We signed Nemanja Radoja. I'd rather have Remy Voltaire back there at playing number 8. Danny Flores, the new 20-year-old midfielder that we signed, was playing some defensive midfielder in the preseason game this year. So I think he was pretty far down the pecking order.
Well, I'll never forget the game that Uri had last year when he blocked a shot, had to quickly get to his feet and sprinted back and had a sliding block to block a cross, right in front of the box. Mm-hmm. And it was it was epic, right? And everyone was like, oh my God, Uri Rosell just did something phenomenal. Right. Do you remember this at all? The double?
Yeah, no, I remember.
It was fantastic. It was inconsistent though. I mean, the man was, I don't know. He just, and then we just Remy Voltaire started doing that, taking over. And I don't think he wants to be there, but
I don't think Peter even wants him to be at the number 6. Peter has said consistently since Remy Voltaire got here that number 8 is his best position. He can play 6. He might have been our best 6, but number 8 is his best position.
Totally.
So, and I think you combine that with what Peter told us last week about Roger. That's 2 years running now where he goes, I'd use Roger a lot more than I wanted to last year. He doesn't want Roger to be game in, game out number 8 starter. I think in his mind, it's going to be Nemanja Radoja at the number 6, Remy Voltaire at the number 8, and I assume Eric Tommy's going to be the starter at the number 10, but it'll be interesting to see what happens there with that battle between Eric Tommy and Gadi Kimber.
Oh, yeah. I forgot, man. Peter just said some funny things. He said a lot about Roger to many different publications before about how Roger played a lot more than he wanted him to. He even said that about him the prior year. And Roger's just sitting there like, well, goddamn, thanks a lot.
Well, but I think honestly, even when we talked to Roger, which you can go back and listen to our interview with Roger from the end of last year before he officially resigned, I think he kind of knew he knows what point of his career he's at. He knows what he has to give. And if you tell him, hey, you're the starter, he's going to be like, great, I love it. I'm doing it. I'm giving it all I got. But I think he also probably understands the phase of his career that he's at. And I doubt he's offended when he hears Peter say, I don't want him to play, 2,400 minutes a year.
Well, comparatively, Peter also praised, rightfully so, Zeus's body. And that's a body that just won't quit. And Peter confirmed as such.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Zeus says just a little bit more. Roger's a little bit more built than Zeus. Roger's a little bit more of like a bowling ball, bulldog type than Zeus. Yeah. He's got that long gazelle type.
That's that
prance.
Zeus has that lean muscle, dude. Lean. Sizzling.
Yeah. So again, lots of good stuff in that interview last week. But this is I wish Uri well. He was a very good player, a very good member of the club. We will miss his short shorts. That it always drove me crazy because he was trying to always roll them up in the middle of the game and he'd have them there for like 4 seconds and they'd fall down. He'd go right back to it. And I was like, can't we just get this man a shorter pair of shorts?
That's always weird when someone rolls up a short sleeve shirt to be a sleeveless shirt. And I'm like, just cut the damn sleeves off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I get the man a shorter pair of shorts. What's the problem?
We need to get Kitman on here again to talk to him about Uri's shorts and be like, what the heck was going on?
What's our inseam situation like? Because I own a pair of Sporting KC training shorts.
Yeah.
And they ride up a little bit. I'm like, oh, these must be Uri's.
They're not meant for men of our stature.
They're not. If you got quads, bro, like if you got some inner thigh jiggle or whatever, not for you.
It's not a good look. It rides up and suddenly you're like, oof, that's nobody needs to see it.
I work out in those bad boys, so just let everything go.
So best of luck to Uri. You mentioned it was kind of like getting fired, and in a way, obviously, yes, it is. But I have to imagine the way that Peter handles these things is very professional. I'm sure he had a conversation with Uri. He knew this was coming. It might honestly have even been somewhat of a mutual thing. Not that he would have done it if Uri begged him to stay, which I doubt happened. But if he goes to Uri and says, hey, for one reason or another, you're not really in the plans this year. We can keep you here and you're not going to play, or we can let you go and you can go find a situation that's better for you. You can get more time. Uri's a professional. I'm sure that's what he would prefer.
True.
So
true. There are conversations that take place that we have no idea about. So I think that's more likely as to what happened.
And he's played overseas. He's played with other MLS teams. He could land in a number of places, honestly. I'm sure there's an MLS team that would be happy to use his services, if not as a starter, then as a backup. He could go back overseas, play either in Spain or Portugal for probably a lower division team, but somebody will sign him. He's not going to be out there doing nothing.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Shout out to Uri. And then the preseason scrimmage, or scrimmages, according to Sporting Kansas City, did happen. Not a lot that took place, particularly in the first 30 minutes. And people probably want to read into some things here. There's not a whole lot to read into. Tim Melia did start in goal for the first 30, along with some other names that you might recognize: Courtney Ford, Robert Volater, Felipe Hernandez, Jake Davis, Cam Duke, Marinos Janis, and Ozzy Cisneros. Alongside them, Jacob Bartlett, Mo
Abwalnati, there it is.
Abwalnati, almost got choked up on that one. And then Yasin Mejia. So some names that we're familiar with, some names we're not as familiar with. Maybe no clear-cut starters in there. So, people might be like, okay, is Tim with the second team? I don't think that necessarily means anything. Tim played 20 minutes. This is his first close to game action since the injury at the end of last year. So getting him back in the swing of things. John Polskamp came in the 20th minute and then continued into the second 30, played 20 minutes alongside Caden Pierre, Chris Rindov, Andreu Fontes, Ben Sweat, Danny Flores, Remy Voltaire, Roger Espinoza, Johnny Russell, Willie Agata, and Daniel Shallowy. So a lot more names that we're familiar with. And then Kendall McIntosh came in for the final 20 minutes of that game. We didn't really see any highlights. They did put up a B-roll package that's available on YouTube. There was one goal that was scored in the 45th minute, so in the second of the 30-minute periods. It was kind of a strange overshot cross by Portland, headed back into the box, and then a bicycle kick that got past Polskamp. So definitely some tightening up of the defense to do there. You can see it on the Portland Timbers Twitter account.
There's a bicycle kick goal?
Yeah, scorpion kick, bicycle kick, but it's not so much a bicycle. It's more of like an overhead kick, because he didn't do the full bicycle motion. He definitely kicks it over his head backwards and lands on his back, and it sneaks past Polskamp. Oh
my God. See, well, back to those lineups real quick. There's absolutely nothing to read into with that. It's just Peter puts things together all the time. He'll put like some veterans with some new guys. Mm-hmm. And then the second squad will be new guys with some veterans. So just trying to get the right mix, make sure everyone can play with everyone. Man, oh man, we are going to have an MLS game in like a month.
Soon. Just about a month.
Bro, the end of February.
Yep.
Apple TV Plus, get ready. I'm fired up. I'm jazzed, man. It's going to be great.
Yeah, actually, a month from today, February 25th, is the first game. So exactly a month.
There you go.
So that's awesome.
So early. Probably going to have some cold-ass home openers.
And we're going to be on the road in Portland. It's a 9:30 Central start, of course, because West Coast. But so we're gonna need to tighten up the defense against those overhead overhead kick. Not a true bicycle, but defenders just need to close down a little bit more. This is the first preseason game. Not, like I said, don't read into this too much. Not a whole lot.
2 scrimmages, and Portland's like, we got the W.
Right.
What are we talking about?
Right. Obviously, Gadi Kinda didn't play. Alan Polito didn't play. Graham Zusi didn't play. Nemanja Radoja didn't play. Logan Ndenbe didn't play. Kyrie Shelton didn't play. Eric Tommy didn't play. Tim Leibold didn't play. Leibold, I think, is only just now getting to Arizona with the club. So not surprising there. Peter did have a quote. He said, the group of guys that didn't play, they just all have some little nagging things that we don't want them to turn into something. They've trained pretty well. We're just going to make sure we look after them and not turn things that can be over in a couple of days to something more long-term. So there you go. Cool. Not a whole lot to take from that, but other than we have real live preseason soccer.
Live soccer, man. And if you haven't listened, our cohort, Ali Trost had on Johnny Russell on Monday.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's kind of cool seeing the two of them on video, both of them looking all gorgeous. Just Johnny from freaking Arizona. It's just, I love seeing it, man. I love seeing it. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Go check out, Soccer Talks with Ali Trost Martin.
Soccer Talks, cross promotion.
Before we get into a little bit of some roster rumors and maybe some Leagues Cup news, do want to remind y'all about some special deals going on at DraftKings Sportsbook. 4 NFL teams, 2 conference championship games, and only a few more shots to win big on the playoffs with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Counting down to Super Bowl 57, new customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly.
Whoa.
Not a new customer? You can feel the conference championship thrills with stepped-up same-game parlays. Take a shot at an even bigger NFL payout and boost your winnings with each leg you add up to a 100% bonus. So that means if you add enough legs, you can get up to double the odds that it would normally be. Now, I didn't have the greatest luck this last week because I put Patrick Mahomes in some of my parlays, and as we all know, he almost lost an ankle. We all had to offer up our own ankles for him to be able to continue to play. So
that's true. I had Chad Henne in one of my parlays, so
if you did that, man, if you had Chad Henne throwing a touchdown pass in your parlay, I'm sure you made bank. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code NOOTHERPOD, all one word, NOOTHERPOD. New customers can bet $5 on the conference championship games and get $200 in free bets instantly, only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code NOOTHERPOD. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
There you go.
There you go.
I love it.
Have you seen the latest roster rumor that's starting to go around? It hasn't really made its way into the English language news, but Mike Kuhn at Down the Byline on Twitter found this one, who is, I don't know how he does it. There can be a roster rumor involving Sporting Kansas City anywhere in the world, and Mike tends to find these things. But essentially, it's another rumor about a potential center back acquisition for Sporting Kansas City. Coming out of the Netherlands, that Vitesse defender, Ferro is his name, Ferro, who is on loan from Benfica, is no longer in the club's plans, but Kansas City and Montpellier are interested. Ferro is a former Portuguese youth international who has played with Benfica, along with loans to Valencia, Hajduk Split, and Vitesse. So apparently his contract with Benfica will be terminated, and this is an opportunity for Sporting Kansas City to look at bringing in some more center back help, which I think is something that we expect them to do, because obviously we didn't bring back Isi. So I don't know. 25-year-old center back, transfer market, take it with a huge grain of salt. Transfer market says his value on the open market is 2.5 million euros. At one point, it got all the way up to 18 million euros. So obviously it's taken a little bit of a dip, but that to me, I don't know about your thoughts, but that to me seems like the exact type of sort of reclamation project that Peter can sort of be known for. Go find a guy, sign him on a free. He's got a lot of potential, just maybe fell out of favor. Work him back into form over 2-3 seasons, and then maybe sell him at a profit.
Yeah, I mean that sounds. God, that's Peter Vermees magic, and that's the book.
Yeah, I mean, and when you're talking about playing for clubs like Benfica, like Valencia, Hajduk Split is a big club in Croatia. So some of you, I believe it's Croatia, might have heard of them in terms of some of the European competitions, and even Vitesse in the Netherlands. These are good clubs. So Felipe Gutierrez was one that we got out of contract, who had come from some pretty decent clubs as well. So I wouldn't hate this necessarily.
Oh yeah, we will definitely keep an eye on this one, because that Mike Kuhn's always finding that stuff, isn't he?
So I mean, to me, if you sign a player like that, even on a free, that sort of screams potential starter right away. Even if he's fallen out of favor with a club over in Europe, that's like I said, that's the type of player who can come and make some noise in MLS. And it's not quite Ronaldo, but it's signing from Europe. So
that's interesting. Yeah, I've been waiting on. There was a rumor saying that someone else is interested because of the whole Ronaldo situation or something, and
we haven't heard much since then, huh?
It makes sense. I mean, it's just, what a banana situation, man. I wanted some serious dirt from Peter about that, but I know he can only talk so long, about so much.
Yeah, it's there's only so much he can say about it, but I don't know. It's it's an interesting time. Sporting Kansas City has a few more roster moves, hopefully, to make. Peter kind of alluded to them, but didn't really say what they are. So we'll see.
Yeah.
The other big Sporting Kansas City news is we got a group announcement for the Leagues Cup. Sporting Kansas City is in a group with fellow MLS team FC Cincinnati, who's a decent defensive-minded team. And the real juice.
They've gotten better. Cincinnati has gotten better the past couple of years.
They are. They've definitely gotten a lot better. So they're nothing to sneeze at. The real juicy news item, I guess, if you will, is the other team in our group is Chivas Guadalajara, also known as just Chivas from Liga MX, aka Alan Pulido's former club.
Yeah.
So this is a new format for this tournament. It starts July 21st, runs through August 19th. All 47 clubs from Liga MX and MLS in a World Cup style tournament. So we're gonna get through this group with FC Cincinnati and Chivas Guadalajara. But I mean, I'm not gonna be sad if we don't advance in this. But there's some intrigue here. I'm interested.
Sure, it's a competition. I like to win. Anything I go watch, buddy. If it's like U.S. Open Cup, if it's Champions League stuff, I'm always wanting a victory. You know what I mean? And Peter is too, despite some of the lineups he puts out at certain times. But I hope that we take this seriously because there is a stoppage in MLS season. So I can't imagine. I don't think coaches have this in like a clause where they have to play their starters, but can you imagine like they could totally give their starters a break during this little competition here?
Yeah, they could. I mean, if it's a month-long or near month-long stoppage, I think you probably don't want to give them off that long because you can get them out of game shape.
Yeah.
I think this one will be interesting. I think it'll be interesting to see how teams do approach this because we all know what happens with U.S. Open Cup sometimes, which also is still a thing throughout the season.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and Sporting has done this, Peter has done this, you play some of the backups in the early games, and then as you start advancing, you start taking it a little bit more seriously. So it's certainly possible that happens here. It all kind of probably depends on injuries. But this will be interesting. We've never played Chivas in a competitive match. We've hosted them in an international friendly in Children's Mercy Park in October 2011. They played in September 2009. Chivas played in Kansas City in September 2009 against Club America at Arrowhead Stadium. So we've played them a couple of times. We've drawn both times. This is an intriguing matchup. I would have to assume Alan Pulido playing would make big headlines both here and in Mexico. So it's I don't know. I'm kind of excited to see how this tournament is embraced because this is just one more chance for MLS and Liga MX to stoke their rivalry flames. But we'll see.
Very true. I mean, it's that they're trying to force this rivalry, Americans versus Mexicans. And it's just, I mean, I get it. It's geographical and, CONCACAF Champions League's a big part of it as well. So could be the start of something fun, man. Some neat little storylines. And I assume only one team gets out of the group, right?
No, the top two teams from each group, as determined by points, will advance to the round of 32 in the knockout stage. And then from there, it will go on and basically be a knockout stage. If the game is tied after 90 minutes, the game will proceed directly to a penalty shootout, and the winner of the shootout will earn an additional point. So you get a point if the game is tied, and then you get an additional point if you win the penalty shootout. So you can come out of a game with 2 points that way.
We're not playing each team twice. We'll play them each once, right?
I believe it's just once.
And we are, season ticket holders, they said, do get a ticket to that Chivas game.
Because that's going to be here in Kansas City.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
It's going to be fun. I'm mildly excited about this. Like I said, I'll just see how it goes. I'm not going to be sad if we don't lose it, but
when they do things like that, when they throw things in my season ticket package, I'm just like, oh, free soccer. Like it feels cool. All right. Another trip, another drive up there. Sounds good.
Yeah. It's just fun to be in Children's Mercy Park, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all sorts of times where, it's not the best game or whatnot, or Sporting has been mathematically eliminated as kind of what was happening toward the end of last year. But just being in Children's Mercy Park is a fun time. So
yeah, for sure.
Looking forward to it. Not a whole lot of other MLS news going on right now per se. There was a sad MLS story. Charlotte FC defender Anton Walkes passed away unexpectedly in an accident. He was only 25 years old. So do just want to mention, thoughts to Charlotte FC and Anton Walkes and his family. Didn't want to get through our MLS portion. It's wild, man.
It's wild because, I mean, here's the thing. Here's a stupid thing that people say is that people die all the time. Okay, sure. Correct, they do. But 25-year-olds ain't dying, man. Like, you want someone to be at the end of their rope. They've lived a healthy life. They're done. They're ready to go. This man was just chilling, died in a boating accident. Do you know any more about it? Like, what kind of accident? Okay.
No.
Just sounds crazy. Like, is there alcohol involved, flipping boat collision? I have no idea. When I hear boating accident, I start making up all sorts of shit in my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just a tragedy, man. 25 years old.
25. Dude, if some guy is 40 and dies, heart attack or something, and was super healthy, Grant Wall, what the fuck? Like,
right.
It doesn't make any sense to me sometimes. So live your best freaking life, dude. Hug your friends, tell them you love them, because it's just shit ain't guaranteed. I could be gone tomorrow and this podcast is done because it can't go on without me.
Oh, it wouldn't. I couldn't do it by myself. We were just talking about this the other day. We're like, hey, we each bring something different and unique to the podcast. It wouldn't be here where it is unless we both had our own unique takes on it. So
it's just crazy, dude. Car accidents happen all the freaking time. I'm terrified to drive sometimes. I get behind a vehicle and I'm just like, here we go. It is the most serious thing in my world. My phone is out of reach, not doing shit. It's
smart.
Crazy. Yeah. Then I see people on their phone and I will honk at these motherfuckers. I will. I'll do this to them. Like, I'm just so freaking mad.
Yeah, it's bad.
I'm like, will you grow up? You are a grown man texting in your car right now.
Don't do it.
One guy had a sticker on the back of his car and I totally Karen'd him, bro. It said, how's my driving? And it was a number. And I was like, I'll tell you how your fucking driving is. Excuse me, your vehicle 765 is texting and driving. Is that what you want from your employees?
Is it like a truck?
Yeah, it's like a truck.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not having it. Not today. It was like the end of a work day. I was fed up.
Texting and driving is no joke, man. That's a real easy way to get in an accident or hurt somebody.
You see people veer off all the time, just not paying attention. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Well,
I Karen'd out. I've never used that as a verb. I totally Karen'd.
That's okay. Our thoughts go to Charlotte FC and Anton Walkes' family and friends. So hopefully some comfort and healing coming there soon. Moving to a story outside of MLS, I guess this is really the last thing I have to talk about this week. You'd think that we'd maybe be done with the Berhalter and the Reyna stuff by this point. Doesn't seem like this is going away anytime soon. We don't have any more news on who the U.S. men's national team manager will be. There's rumors of who's being contacted and who's turning the job down. And apparently it doesn't seem like a lot of people really particularly want this job. There was a Zinedine Zidane rumor out there. Then there was a Jose Mourinho rumor out there. So it's hard to know who's really going to take it. Are you doing, what's it called? The app?
Be real, baby. You got to be real.
You got your Be Real notification.
Jimmy, they only do Be Reals when I'm doing something stupid like watching TV. I'm always watching TV and I'm like, oh, people are going to think I'm so lame.
Yeah.
But now I get to show people I have a podcast.
That's right.
It's fun. Never do anything fun.
There are reports that it's less likely that Berhalter will come back to be the U.S. men's national team manager as a result of this Reyna situation. We don't know. Doesn't seem like, obviously Zidane said no. And then obviously nothing yet in terms of Jose Mourinho, which you're a Manchester United fan. Jose Mourinho took the helm of Manchester United for a few years and went full Jose Mourinho on the situation. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on if you would like Jose Mourinho to manage. It feels like it just is a recipe for disaster, honestly. But
it'd be pretty wild. He's got it sucks because his career is like Jose Mourinho in his first year did all this. And it's like, he never really won championships. he only ever like made teams semi good.
And he's got quite the ego. His brand of soccer that he plays is not the most entertaining. It's a very, sort of defensive minded, not pretty, which could work, but anybody who calls themselves the special one, probably
he says that.
That's what he calls himself. He's the special one. So
that's amazing.
He's got a little bit of an ego there. Supposedly, Ted Lasso, Nate, as he, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the second season of Ted Lasso, as he does sort of his heel turn and takes over West Ham, and he's got the gray hair. It's kind of his Jose Mourinho villain.
Is that what they're modeling it after?
Unconfirmed, but basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So I don't know what's going to happen there, but this Claudio Reyna, Mrs. Reyna, Danielle, that's her name, Danielle Reyna, I forgot her name, stuff isn't going away, because just when it was kind of starting to get out of the public eye, then Gio Reyna scores a game with Borussia Dortmund and celebrates by like putting his fingers in his ears, like I can't hear you or whatnot, and it kind of just reignited that, like, oh yeah, this Reyna Berhalter stuff is still going on. And
why do you do that?
Because he's immature. I guess. I don't know. I mean, he's a young kid, but like,
he scored at home. He did that to the Borussia Dortmund fans.
Was it at home? It looks like it was at home.
Because who does that to their home fans?
I think he was just trying, not like I can't hear the fans, but it's just like, I can't hear anything about Berhalter. Can't hear it. Like all this stuff going on with my family. Like I don't really care. Can't hear it. And if it were me, I would just try to move on.
Yeah,
mom does care.
Mom cares a whole lot in her soccer van.
I don't know. Obviously there was a situation with Reyna at the World Cup before we even knew about it, because he wasn't playing. And that's when Greg had told him, hey, you're not going to really play that much. And then he didn't handle it well. And that's when mom and dad got interfered and whatnot. It seems to me like maybe I just wouldn't like the Reynas very much. Maybe they're just a little bit entitled in terms of who they are in terms of a soccer family. And Gio's just maybe not quite at the maturity level that I might want from a national team player. That's not to say he's not good and can't get back there, but
luckily you have no way of hanging out with them. So I mean that's good. It's good we don't have to, but they're not my people.
Well, and then so Claudio Reyna is the Austin FC technical director, who obviously they're a very good club, but
we don't like them either.
I thought surely there's no way they can keep him on. He's messed with this. Then there were reports that came out that he messed with his son's career when he was with the youth national team. He's meddling. Like, you're destroying the credibility of your club. So I'm like, how long are they going to keep him on before they formally dismiss him? And I just put out a tweet. How long until they formally dismiss him? I didn't know. There is a whole army of people on Twitter who are so anti-Greg Berhalter. And I'm not going to sit here and necessarily defend Greg Berhalter as coach. They are so anti-Greg Berhalter that if you say anything, even remotely against any of the Reynas, they will come at you. They will find you. I had a guy come into my mentions whose name was Greg Beerholder, and it was a picture of Greg Berhalter's face photoshopped onto Osama bin Laden's head. And I'm like, there are people who take this way too far.
Buddy, let's be honest, a majority of people are not great people. I mean, think about this for a second. There are people out there that will slide into a random real woman's DMs and ask for feet pictures.
Yeah, it's gross.
And they don't have a relationship with this person at all. It's not like they're dating or anything. No, I'm not kink shaming at all, but it's weird when you don't know this person.
It's harassment. That's harassment.
It's harassment. And I'm like, this Berhalter thing is that just scrapes the surface of terrible fucking people.
Yeah, I just need U.S. men's national team fans to chill out just a little bit. You can be anti-Greg without also defending terrible actions of the Reynas, and you can say that maybe what's happened to Greg and his wife hasn't been the best situation and maybe isn't fair to them, while also not defending him as coach of the U.S. men's national team. There can be nuance in this situation. I think that it was probably unfair to air their dirty laundry, especially if his wife it's her story to tell, really. It's Greg Berhalter's wife's story to tell because she was the victim of this. And if she has come to terms with it and they've worked through it for 30 some odd years, I feel most bad for her. But you can say that it's shitty for them. Anymore. There's no way. There's no way. So
I'd be done. Dude, if you went and like spouted some sort of like serious secret that like I told you in confidence or whatever, I'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you out of your mind?
Yeah. It's irreconcilable. There's no way.
Like I can't trust you. Like that's it. You're untrustworthy. Done deal. Get the hell out of here. Oh my Lord. It's unbelievable.
So
I'm just shocked.
That's never a dull moment when it comes to the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah, it's just in shambles, and it's like, you know what? If we can't win the World Cup, we're gonna damn well make sure you're still talking about us.
Yeah. All the while we don't know who's going to be the coach. There's a January men's camp that's happening, and
there's a game this week.
Yeah, I forgot to even talk about that because I'm just like, I don't even care at this point.
No, there's two, right? Isn't there one? Tonight, 9:00. They're at Bank of California Stadium, if it even is still called that.
BMO Field.
BMO Field. Okay. They play. They're playing Serbia, and then
Stadium.
Saturday night,
BMO Stadium
at Dignity Health Sports Park, they're playing Colombia at 6:30. So,
I mean,
there you go. Or you can watch KU at 7 lose to K-State again. I said I wasn't going to talk about it. But it's on my calendar, and I'm not in a good place. I'm not okay. Or the Royal Rumble Saturday, bro.
Royal Rumble.
You got Peacock.
I do got Peacock. I like watching the Royal Rumble. They bring back people from my past.
If you're just a casual wrestling fan, the Rumble and WrestleMania are like the two.
Those are the two
things to watch.
Yeah.
It's a blast.
I'm hoping The Rock comes out, even though he probably won't, but I'm hoping.
He's rumored not to.
If I see the countdown, 3, 2, 1, and then there's that like pause, and you just hear, "Can you smell?" Oh, I'm gonna get off my couch.
Dude, there's rumors like Stone Cold might show up.
If I hear the glass bottles break.
Yeah. Brock Lesnar just came back on Monday. Like, shit's crazy.
Okay, well, I'm gonna watch it. We'll see. There's no football on Saturday, and there's no MLS soccer to watch on Saturday.
No, one of our listeners, Wesley Williams, will be at the Royal Rumble. We were chatting it up on Twitter. He said it's his first live event. What a first event to go to.
Only thing to top it would be WrestleMania.
Yeah. Like, I've been to house shows and Raws and SmackDowns and stuff, but to have your first event be a big-time pay-per-view, one of the big three.
Did you pay-per-view last year in St. Louis?
I went to the Rumble last year.
Yeah, it was the Rumble. That's what I thought.
Yeah. But it wasn't my first, show ever.
Right.
You know, I built up to it, for God's sakes. Wesley's like, I'll go all in.
Well, shout out to Wesley. Have fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to watch U.S. men's national team, go for it. I just can't get into it with all this stuff going on right now.
I think I will because of all the stuff going on. I think I will get into it.
You want to see it more? Okay.
Hey, I'm all about, little Real Housewives of WeHo or whatever's going on. A lot of drama.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, well, we'll see. That's all I got this week, man. You got anything else for us?
Hey, that feels pretty good, man. Tip your waiters and waitresses, and enjoy your week, guys.
For sure. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for listening. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Dan Kooser, at JCMax03, at No Other Pod. Check out the KCSN Soccer YouTube channel. You can see us and see how sad Dan is talking about the Jayhawks right now. And send us an email, nootherpod@gmail.com. And make sure you leave that 5-star rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. But until next time, he's Dan. I'm Jimmy. We'll catch y'all later. See ya.
Look how gorgeous we are. It's not the ring light. It's us.